Here's why the Hawks will upset the Crows and the Pies and push for a top 4 spot. Let's get into it. Firstly, Adelaide are the favourites for their game against Hawthorn on Friday night, and it makes sense, but people are completely counting out the Hawks, which it doesn't make any sense to me because they beat them earlier in the year. Yes, I know it was in Tassie and the conditions weren't great, but here's who didn't play in their last game. Day, Sicily, Warple, Scrimshaw, Lewis and Deer. And out of these 11 players who played in that last game against Adelaide, 9 had basically zero impact. Like, just look at these stats. Other than maybe Gunston, who kicked 2-3, and then Child kicked 1-1. Everyone else had barely 10 touches and barely 50 fantasy points. So, yeah, a lot of firepower was missing and or lacking. So, take that into account when tipping on this game. Everyone's acting like Adelaide is some super powerhouse that just smashes through everyone, but 10 of their 14 wins have come from bottom 10 sides, and one of those was against the Dogs, who haven't beat a top 8 team all season. So if you count the Bulldogs, 11 out of 14 wins really aren't that impressive. Obviously the Dogs in Melbourne is impressive, but who else did they beat? The Lions by 5, obviously a good win. The Giants by 3 goals, and the Suns they smashed the other week by 61. So other than that, they haven't really had that many impressive wins. Yes, they've been competitive against the Suns, Cats, Dockers, Pies and Hawks in all games that they've lost, and all of those games are by 3 goals or less, but really they haven't faced anyone of significance at this part of the season, maybe other than Brisbane. Look, I'm not taking anything away from them. They're definitely a top 4 team this season. You cannot deny that. But 2 of their wins were also the Power by 5 when they were no good still, and the D's by 2 goals. And they were down at 13 at halftime of that game, and that was in Adelaide. So at this point, yeah, it's 50-50. Anything can happen. I think Adelaide are just the favourites simply for the home ground advantage. Looking at the matchups, I think the midfielders are fairly even and go well against each other. Like, possession-wise, Adelaide don't have a lot of high possession getters, same as Hawthorn. And Adelaide's forward line and Hawthorn's back line sort of go together perfectly. As we know, Adelaide have the 3 bigs up forward in Walker, Fogarty and Phil Thorpe, who are all obviously great players. But then Hawthorn have Barras at full back, Battle at centre half back, and Sicily and Scrimshaw can cover the third tall. So matchup-wise, they sort of go together perfectly. And then you look at direct one-on-one matchups. I think Dawson will run with Nash in the midfield. Nash's defensive presence will slow him down a little bit, and Dawson's obviously a bit of a bigger body, so it works out well. And then when Dawson goes forward, Scrimshaw can take him, and the other 3 in Battle, Barras, and Sixley can take the other 3 bigs. And then also, I think Scrimshaw can take Keys. I think they're similar size. Scrimshaw might be slightly taller, but they're sort of that third tall / not really a third tall, so they match up well together. And when Rankin goes up forward, I think Hardwick's going to take him because Rochelli's out, so Hardwick is going to have a bit of a quieter night, but as we know, every time he's on a small forward, they always have a bad night. So the only player from Adelaide I'm really worried about is Dan Curtin. If you don't know who Dan Curtin is, he is a wingman who was in the same draft as Harley Reid and Nick Watson. He's 197 as a wingman, so sort of the Connor Nash size of midfielder and really good runner. I think Weddle would be the perfect matchup for him. Unfortunately, as we know, he's still injured. In 4 of his last 5 games, Curtin is averaging 23.5 touches and has kicked a goal in 4 of his last 5 games. Last time against Hawthorn, he kicked a goal and he out-muscled and out-marked our midfielders in Morrison and D'Ambrosio, our wingman more so. And yeah, he's going to be a big mismatch. He out-marked them a couple of times and it was noticeable in our last matchup. And the way he's going, he's going to have a good game. He's pretty much a mismatch for every single wingman in the comp, except unless you're putting like a Blissards from Geelong or a Weddle from Hawthorn. But yeah, I feel like he's going to have a big night. But to sum it up, this is going to be the first game of the season that officially feels like a finals game. It's going to be loud at Adelaide Oval. It's going to be intense. It's going to be exciting the whole way through. Hawthorn obviously have Will Day back. Yes, he's still kicking off a bit of rust, but it's going to give us a really big boost. And my prediction is Hawthorn by a kick, simply for the fact that we had 6 of our best 18 players missing last time. And yeah, I think we just match up really well. It's just going to be a good game in general because we match up so well against each other. Like the Crows' big forward line and Hawthorn's big back line. And then the midfield is sort of, there's no superstar in there, but it's all-round solid midfielder. Like decent depth, and everyone's just sort of, they match up well against each other. So Hawthorn by a kick, no more than 2 kicks if we have a good game. And yeah, it's going to be one of the best games of the season. Now, the next Thursday night, it's Hawthorn versus Collingwood at the G. Now, everyone's having Collingwood as the favourite, and just apparently they are going to smoke Hawthorn, but that is simply not the case. The main reason is, last time Hawthorn did not have Will Day, Lewis, Deer, McKenzie, and Sissy was injured and had 0 impact. These are some stats from the last time these 2 teams played in round 12, and I think out of these 12 players, 9 to 10 pretty much did nothing. It had quiet nights. Gunston kicked 2, which is always good. Weddle, a goal, 7 marks, but take away that goal, it's more of a quiet game. And yeah, the rest of them could barely get 10 disposals and 50 fantasy points in a whole game of footy. So, I mean, it wasn't all bad. McDonald had 15 touches, Watson kicked a goal, but for the most part, 8+ players had 0 impact. So hopefully going into this game, yeah, it's completely different. But that is a third of your team that pretty much did nothing. So that plus the players that were missing from last time should give us a big boost going into this game. And people have Collingwood as the favourites, which I'm not disagreeing with, but there's a massive factor that no one's talking about, and that's the fact that this week, the game before Hawthorn, Collingwood have Brisbane, and then a 5-day break, and then Hawthorn on the Thursday night. An old team in Collingwood coming up to the end of the season, 5-day break against one of the hungry teams that need to win to make finals. It's going to have a big impact. And yes, I know Collingwood have been resting a few guys throughout the season and recently, just a week off here and there for the older guys, but still a 5-day break with an old team coming up to the end of the season. All I'm saying is if we keep Nick Dacos quiet, I know Finn McGuinness is out, but if we keep Dacos quiet, then there's no reason we can't win. Alright, you've got to put someone on him, wear him out, even maybe, this might sound a bit stupid, put Connor Nash on him around the footy. Yes, when he sprints and breaks away, no one can keep up with him in the comp. But if Nash can just, that 6'6" frame, wearing him out the whole game, and come to the last quarter, if you're wrestling with a 110 kilo bloke for an hour of footy, you're going to be tired in that last quarter. Yes, I know Dacos is pretty much unlimited endurance and unlimited sprint, but yeah, that could have an impact. Might sound a bit stupid, but it could work from time to time throughout the game. My prediction is, I'm going with the draw on this one, alright? I want to say Hawthorn by a kick, but it's the Pies, and you can never back them out, especially with a healthy Dacos. So I'm going with the draw, and if not, no more than 2 points. Alright, it's going to be one of the games of the year, another finals-like game, which most are in the last month of the season. But yeah, Hawthorn are going to take both these games, in my opinion, not by much, and they're going to sneak up. I think if they win 3 games against Adelaide, Collingwood, and Melbourne, they can push up to 5th or 6th, which really is all we need for that finals home game in the finals. So, and comment down below, do you agree with what I said, and do you think the result's going to be any different? Let me know.